The bulk of our audience is either beginners or somebody who's wanting to transition from residential to commercial. Do you think that, unanchored retail strip centers is a good place to start, or what would you recommend for somebody just getting started, like kind of asset class, and what would you tell them to go do?
I think that especially if someone has already owned a residential property, going to commercial in some ways can be easier. The management responsibilities are significantly less, especially if it's a single tenant property. The risk return there is a little bit different if you're buying a single tenant industrial or a single tenant retail property. It's all concentrated on that one tenant. You don't have all of your apartments or all of your single family housing to rely on. So if that space goes dark, it's, you've lost 100% of your income in that investment. So looking at properties that have more spaces, but still is something that you would be able to manage yourself. I think unanchored strip centers can be a good solution to that, where you have maybe 10 to 20 units. So the risk is spread across those different tenants and those different units, but you don't have the same kind of monthly management responsibilities that you do with an apartment building that might be the same size and the same value. I think that also one of the huge benefits of commercial real estate versus residential real estate is the lease structures, which I'm sure you talk about with other people. But having a triple net lease structure versus a gross structure where your tenants are ultimately responsible for operating expenses and some of the repairs and maintenance. Sometimes you even have an absolute triple net where they're actually responsible for the structure itself, can take a lot of the management responsibilities or all of the management responsibilities away from the landlord, which can really work in an early investor's favor, especially if they don't have a team around them to help them.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What would you say like a good first step would be to go, I guess, just to begin the journey into commercial real estate? Because that's obviously it's pretty intimidating for people just getting started, and you've been through a lot, and also you said you're kind of in an advisory role. So I'd be curious to hear what you typically recommend somebody, like they're just brand new. What do you typically tell somebody to do to get into it?
The first thing that I would tell people that are brand new to real estate, have never invested in real estate before, is not actually to go out and buy your own property first. The first thing I would do is invest with a sponsor in your market. So find a firm like yours, if you're based in North Carolina, that has experience and has a team around it, so that you can get exposure to these real estate investments, but you don't have the same kind of management responsibility. And through that initial investment, you can learn about how it works. You can talk to you all or to whatever sponsor they're working with, so they can understand the dynamics of that investment without the same level of risk. And then maybe once they've done that first investment, so either through a fund or a syndication, they can move on to maybe a joint venture. So I still wouldn't say go out and buy your own property yourself. Find someone that maybe was another investor in whatever vehicle you just invested in, is someone in the market that has experience, that's willing to partner with you, so that you can split some of those responsibilities. Maybe that person is responsible for the actual property management and you're responsible for finding investors to bring in. Maybe it's the other way around. But if you can kind of ease into it so that you're learning along the way and you're not taking so much risk in the very beginning, I think that makes the most sense for investors that are just getting started with commercial real estate.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more.
We talked about it multiple times. We even did an example of our deals and how, you could be GP, you could be an LP. There's so many different ways to get into it. I think the barrier is really just taking action. And those that take action get rewarded, no matter how, they decide to take down commercial real estate.